What is good, man? We are back on the Chill Takes podcast. I'm your host, Darian. I have a very special guest with me. I have River Brown, Riv from the Pick a Side podcast. How you doing, man?
Listen, you have officially become a friend of mine. Don't ever say my full name. Never. Just call me Rev. You get that type of respect. But I had a good day. Happy to be here, ready to talk some hoops, football, NBA. I've been pretty locked in this year on the football more than I've been
Mhm,
NBA. First time I've
mhm,
done that probably my whole life.
mhm.
And I've been excited. There's been a lot of good things happening. So I'm definitely excited to talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. And actually, this is my first podcast of the new year. So kicking things off right, man. Excited for this season. Oh, well, not season, but year of content. I'm trying to be consistent with this YouTube stuff. I've been consistent on TikTok. That's my main platform right now. But the YouTube is where it's at, man. So I have to pick up the grind, and it starts with this episode right here, man. So I'm very excited to get all into this.
What you be posting on TikTok? Like what you be doing on TikTok?
NFL and NBA content right now. Just NFL stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Since the season is like in full swing, is damn near coming to an end here soon. So, I've been doing TikTok for almost it'll be 3 years in March. So, been grinding on that, trying to eclipse that 100K. It's very hard on there sometimes, but YouTube is just hit or miss because I haven't been consistent. But definitely trying to grow on all the major platforms for sure.
How many are you away from 100K?
About 40K.
Terrible. You might. Hey, listen, listen. That's good. That's good to me. You by
Yeah, for
yourself
sure.
too,
Yeah, yeah,
and you
yeah.
just posting. It's not like you posting like. It's not like you got an insane like you said. You're not consistent on YouTube, so you don't got hella takes just throwing on you. Like this is just you making content out your ass, realistically, like we all
Hmm.
do. So the
Yeah,
fact
yeah,
that you got 60K,
yeah, yeah.
that's better than a lot of people, man.
Yeah, man. I've definitely tried to be grateful about it as much as possible. Especially when you see people that you started before that surpass you. You know what I'm saying? But I just gotta keep that tunnel vision and keep going. But yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
my goal. I've come across a few like platforms on TikTok and YouTube talking about like growing on social media and shit. So the biggest thing is I'm not trying to be right up in the numbers. I just want to get out content every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's my biggest thing. If I hit 100K this year, I'll be thankful. I should, but if I don't, you know what I'm saying, I'm just gonna make sure that the work ethic and the consistency is there. So
I like that. I
and
like to hear that, man.
yeah, bro. But speaking of growing on a platform and stuff like that, man. And where you came from with the pick aside. Like I said in the previous in episodes and also at the beginning during our before we start this podcast, I like to get into backgrounds, man. And I feel like you have a very, very interesting background to say the least. I want you to talk about your early days with pick aside. You and Joel started out in the separate building in New York, right? Joel told a story about like how it lasted for a week. Things didn't happen right the way it should have. Got to the red basement, had things going like that. But you and Joel first kicked things off, man. Talk to me about the early days and your perspective of the Pick a Side podcast.
Man, I think we going on about 4 years now. It's crazy because I don't even. It might have lasted longer than a week. Me and Joel. It might have lasted longer than a week. I think it lasted because I think we did that very first episode. And before I started about the first episode, we me and Joel, we've been going to school together since elementary.
Oh, okay, that's
So
day
yeah,
one.
we've been going, but we wasn't like bros enough. But we knew each other. We've always knew each other for sure. Elementary school, middle school, high school. So we've been going to school together for a long, long time. And we used to in high school, we used to argue about sports all the time. Me, him, JC, who used to be on the show all the time. At first, to start the show, I wasn't one of the originals of it. It was supposed to be JC, Joel, and another one of their friends. He dropped out, so they ended up hitting me up, and they was like, "Yo, you want to do the podcast?" Excuse me. At that point, I wasn't doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
I was just outside flunking school, doing just a bunch of nonsense, going to play
Mm-hmm.
ball. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. And then at that time, we dropped that first episode in New York, like you mentioned. I think we did another episode after that. And if I'm not mistaken, that episode couldn't go out. It was all fuzzy. And that's how we got into that argument with the guy in New York. We ended up going to do it at the studio. But I think around that time, too, because I'm 25 now, we probably started around 4 years ago. Around that time, I had my first son.
Mm-hmm.
And all that was circulating. I was dropping out of school. I had my first child. I was living with my grandmother and living with my moms. Like people don't know that I was just all over the place in terms of just figuring out what I want to do in life. And I didn't know at that time. I was very up and down. Do I want to do this? Do I want to get into sports? I just want to be a 9 to 5 type of dude. So this podcast, when we first started, I really ain't had no expectations. I was just like, I need something to do, need something to keep me from just being outside, being a bum. Realistically, I was literally a bum, and I was just doing nothing, making no money. And this
Mhm.
podcast was just to keep me, I guess, level headed.
Mhm.
And then at that time, we started doing good. Then we had to take a hiatus. COVID hit. You know how COVID got hit. Everything got hit. And we built the studio. And then we found Jack. Then we found Drew. We found Dells. And now we here, man. We got the core four plus John. Can never forget John. John comes in. He does a great job as substitute. I wish we could get like a little big studio to have all five of us. That'd be fucking dope. But
Mhm.
I'm grateful for the people we've had along the way because they've helped us be where we're at today. Whether it be Jack, whether it even be the dude who, and that we not working
Yeah.
with no more. That
Mhm.
first episode because he was one of the people that laid the foundation. So I give a thanks to everybody that's like helped through this journey, helped, aided, hated because they have created a monster in the making, and I think we just gonna have a bigger 2024.
Yeah, for sure, bro. I mean, I love to hear that perspective. Like I said, I've done a lot of research on you guys and stuff like that. I listen to like the Patreon podcasts, is all the deep ones from like when you first started out. I tried to at least, and I know you mentioned about having a child. You have a son. You have a daughter too, or just a son?
No, 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 no. It's
Just a
just
son.
one. Just
Just
one. It's a son.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. We ain't get just one. Nah, we ain't get to two yet, man. Just
I
one
got
right
you.
now.
So you just have one child, right? Which is a
Hmm.
lot, especially for middle aged 20-year-old. I'm 26, you're 25, so I mean, you had your son when you was in your early 20s, so
Yep.
definitely a huge responsibility. But I talked to Drew, talked to Joel. Joel took sacrifices, taking out loans and stuff like that to get the podcast going. Drew had to balance the podcast with school, right? He had to choose a different route and have some support from his family. Now, from you, I'm sure you had support from your family as well, but how was that balancing the responsibilities of a podcast, trying to find an actual job, and also having the responsibilities of someone else, like a kid? That's huge. So how'd you do all that?
Ah, what's the thing? I did. I really admire, and like I've never told him this, but I really admire Drew's family, and I say that because they are so supportive of what he does. They are so, and they're so loving. Like I remember when I first met his family, and that this is his brother, his mom, his dad. They love me with open arms. They treat me like family. Like they are so loving and caring. And it's so interesting because you mentioned you. Of course, the assumption would be that your family supports you. I wouldn't necessarily say they don't,
Hmm.
but it's definitely been a sort of a one-way pathway for me. Like they ask about it, but they're not really the most supportive. They still my grandma old school. My dad, he just, wants to see me be a successful dude, whether it's be a 9 to 5 or whatever. So I've kind of been like doing this on my own in a sense. And, I was 20 years old. I turned 21 in April. My son popped out the next month in May. So as soon as I was 21, my first son came out. So I guess my sacrifice is the time, the time with my son. And I think that is probably the most important thing you can give a child is your time. But it's kind of it's a tough balance, because at moments you got to take care of your son, you got to be there. But at other moments, I got to grow this. Like I don't believe in playing beast. I
Hmm.
don't believe in the second. I believe in you got one goal, you stick to it, you grind it, you're gonna make it. And I believe if I really grind, I can make it. It comes with sacrifice, it comes with sacrifices of time without my son, times when I got to cancel, times where I can't be there where I need to be. And of course that hurts. And then because it's your firstborn, but me being young and me having the support in that department
Hmm.
gave me the leverage to kind of, take a back seat or take a break or, make these sacrifices. And then now, just navigating what I do now, because I'm a school, I work at a school, I'm a
Hmm.
head coach, I work
Hmm.
at an after school program, then I got the podcast, then I got my son. So and I'm a ref now. So it's like I navigate so much stuff. And it does come with the sacrifice. And I think, you know, I I love that the fact that the boys were able to do what they did and still be able to be on the podcast as much as they can. That's why I respect them so much. That sacrifice is huge for what we do because we don't work a regular job. This isn't a regular, business. This is something different that can either pop or can either not. And I think I'm grateful for the path that's been laid for us, and the sacrifices were necessary, and I don't regret nothing that I've ever done.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Love to hear it, man. Definitely the biggest takeaway is definitely sacrificing, man. And you guys all did that. You have your story as well, but the fact that having a kid on top of that no is even harder. And you mentioned that you work in the school is crazy because I do because of this job. Well, because I want to be a full time content creator, I have to kind of sacrifice. What I'm saying, my career field and like what jobs I want to do. But I've been picking up like subbing and stuff like that, and I feel like this will give you a freer schedule and stuff.
We're
But
here.
yeah, but man, boy, it ain't enough sometimes. It ain't enough, man. But no, it's definitely sacrifice is definitely the biggest thing I learned, especially last year, man, with this content and trying to chase your dreams while also trying to take care of anybody else. So that's big for sure, bro.
Yeah, and I respect Joel so much for going full on. I'm just gonna make this my number one job. I'm
Hmm.
just gonna put my all into this, and that's why I give him like a shit ton of credit for what he does, because he is the backbone of the podcast. He's the guy that put like I'm gonna be honest with you. I do the least amount of work. I'm gonna just tell you that from the honest to God truth, and
Yeah,
I would never hide that from nobody. I go there and I just perform. I go on there, I put on the show. And in terms of Drew, Dells, and Joel and what they do, even John, like but I think because they sacrifice so much, it's definitely a big thing. You mentioned the substitute, like I was a substitute teacher too, and I was offered a full-time aide job for a young kid who just needed some help, and I didn't have no problem. But you mentioned it. Sometimes it gets tough. Sometimes you need more in that bag. You need more money, and you
absolutely.
know we 25, 26 years old. That adult like that second tier of adult life is starting to hit us. You get that first when you 21, but then you 25, you 26. It's like, yo,
Getting
come
weird.
on. Yeah, you're getting a little old now. It's getting a little nasty. So you do,
Yeah.
yeah. I definitely understand where you're coming from, but you always got to trust the process, trust your work ethic, and I trust the guys I work with 100%.
Hmm.
I trust that they got my back. They know I got theirs,
Hmm.
and we're gonna ride this till the wheels fall off.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. You say you before we get into like the meat of the show, you say you played basketball in school too?
No, 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 no. I played on the side. I never my
Oh,
grades
okay.
were, my grades were never good enough to play basketball. I was a I could tell I think I graduated with like a 0.8 GPA.
Oh
Like
my
my shit
goodness,
was
really?
bad. Yo, when I tell you I ain't go to school with a book bag, I barely made it to second and third period. I had three like it was bad. Like I wasn't dumb. I just was like, nah.
You just didn't care for it?
Yeah, it was like cause think about it. I never got left back.
Hmm.
I literally graduated on time, and I graduated at the same time as valedictorians. The only difference between me and them, they went to 4 year universities. I went to community college,
Yeah.
and I think, and I don't know what they're doing in their life now, but I'm pretty much doing what I've been wanting to do at a lower level for most of my life. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's big. Hey, I mean, probably making doing having success just like them right now. They went through like 4 years of hell at school. So you know what I'm saying? So
and yo, the craziest thing is there's dudes in my DMs, like in my DMs, and I would never say who they are, but there's dudes in my DM that used to tell me in school you wasn't gonna be shit, you was gonna be a bum, this, that, and the third. And now you a fan of what I do. And I just find
crazy.
that so interesting to me. Like now you reposting my shit. Oh, yo, I love y'all podcast. You trying to say what's up to me in person. You trying to follow me. And it's like, bro, don't ever forget what you was doing to me in high school. You was talking crazy about me. And
Yeah.
I understand. But now
Hmm.
it's like, look at me and look at you. I'm not the most famous dude. Like I ain't through the fucking wire. I'm not Kenny Beecham and nothing like that. But dude,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? I'm a name in my own right. And it's crazy how my life turned out like that and other people's turned out like that.
Yeah, man. You know, I'm way out here in Florida. You know what I'm saying? I'm a fan of y'all. So, name carrying weight somehow, some way. So that's big for
Ryan.
sure, bro. That's for sure, bro. All right, man. Let's get right
Oh
into
wait,
the. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. No,
before
go ahead.
before we
Go ahead.
go into the meat of the show, I gotta
Go ahead.
ask you a question. I'm gonna start asking guests
Yeah, go ahead.
all the time. And don't just say me because I'm on the show.
Hmm.
Rank the pick a side boys from best to worst.
Oh, best to worst. That's
Yes.
crazy,
And,
bro. I
and,
can't.
and listen, no, no, no. You can, all right. Let me say who rank the best. Like who be cooking the most
Hmm.
from top to bottom. If you put me last, I'm not gonna get mad. I'm not gonna leave it nothing like that. I'm
I,
gonna just start asking all the people I going to guess. I have to.
I think. I think you and Joel are definitely up there for sure. You
Okay.
and Joel are always battling out with each other.
He gets on my fucking nerves.
Yeah. Like Joel is just he has that to make you just be like, bro, what the hell are you talking about, dog? Like he gets under your skin with his takes. Like I heard in the last podcast, he brought up something about like Mike McGlinchey to piss off Drew and stuff like that because he's a Broncos fan. It's like, bro, he just does little things to get under your skin. But definitely, Joel, I would say you. Drew for sure, and not saying that Dale's is like the bottom or nothing like that, but he just kind of like I'm only going to snap off when I need to. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's talking about the Boston Celtics, he gets a little riled up. But anybody else, he's kind of just cool. He has his perspective. He keeps it calm. But I think there's really the three of y'all, like you, Joel, and Drew. Y'all really go neck and neck. And then you got John. I feel like he's like the numbers guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
There's nothing
I
wrong
hate
with
him too.
numbers.
I hate him so much. I hate him and Joel, man. Get on my fucking nerves.
I feel like I be bullying John sometimes, man.
He always bringing up these stupid ass numbers. I'm like, John, just stop. I don't stop. I don't
test,
care.
baby. I test.
Yeah,
We
just
don't
watch
care
the
about
game,
that,
bro. Yeah. I'll never forget he made this tweet and it was about the Bucks. And he was trying to say, like, tie watch. I was just so angry. I was like, bro, come on. He was so reaching right now. He be dead eyes. And I gotta respect John, man.
Yeah, man, John. I like John, man. He's a cool dude for sure. But he's definitely with the numbers. But now I like all y'all boys, man. All y'all boys put in the work. It's definitely inspirational. It's definitely motivate me to continue what I do, man. And like, man, to see y'all come up the way y'all are, man. Like I'm just trying to get to y'all's level, man. That's I think y'all are big time for sure, bro.
Respect that. Get to a level bigger than ours, man. I always tell people don't try to get to our level. Get to the highest level possible, man.
Yeah, definitely for sure. Definitely gotta try to get to the highest one. But all right, let's get into the meat of the show. NFL talk. Let's get right into it. I tried to cover the teams you attract yourself to. We got some Bears, Bills, and Eagles conversations to be held.
No Cleveland Browns, man.
I forgot. You like so many teams, Riv. Like I forgot about the Browns.
It's funny because your team might play my Browns in the first round. It's
Yeah,
not too goofy. Last time we played, it looked a little muddy. Joe Flacco's out there having fun. So
Joe Flacco embarrassed us, dog.
Yeah. Y'all fell off a cliff. Oh man, I think it was the Niners. Ever since that Niners game, y'all ain't looked the same.
I mean, realistically speaking, I think we haven't looked the same. You could say the Niners game, but
you
really,
so you watch more games than me.
Yeah. I would probably say, man, I'm trying to think back, dog. Like, I don't know, that Chiefs game. I know it was week 2, but that Chiefs game definitely told me a lot about how the season was going to go. I knew the offense wasn't ready yet, and the defense definitely just fell off a cliff too, as well. But the offense was supposed to be the bread and butter this year, and they have not lived up to expectations. Trevor Lawrence supposed to do a year 3 leap. He has not lived up either. So, there's been a lot of struggles with that. I think it definitely comes down to play calling with the offensive coordinator and Press Taylor. The offensive line is still pretty mid and stuff like that. But, hey, I tell the fans that, following me on Twitter and stuff like that, we are 9-7 or 9-6. 9-7, my bad. About to be 10-7 after this week. We're turning into a winning football team again, right? We haven't be able to sustain success in my lifetime of watching this team play. So if it takes us to just build and get to the championship level, that's fine. But as long as we're not having losing seasons, I'm good on it. So
do you think because I asked this question, I'm sure you might have seen it on Instagram or something like that. Trevor Lawrence, what's the chances he can end up being the 3rd best quarterback in his division? Because they just drafted CJ with Houston. AR showed a little something, didn't play much here, but showed a little flash. What do you think of the chances?
I think they're pretty low. I'm a Gator fan, so I watch a lot of Anthony Richardson.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
He's from Gainesville, which is like an hour and 45 minutes from me. He went to Eastside. I know all about the school he came up in. So I watched his growth, and I do believe he can be successful in the NFL. Do I believe he can be a top 10 quarterback? I doubt it, because of his throwing issues, right? And it takes time to develop as a passer in this league. I think he can still be a dynamic athlete, when it comes down to it. But I don't know if he can be that, Lamar Jackson or even Jalen Hurts of a passer in this league, being a dual threat quarterback. That's just my opinion. I think Stroud is going to be amazing, right? I think he has exceeded expectations, right? Once they get more weapons around him, he's going to continue to be a very good quarterback in this league, maybe top five eventually because he's just resilient, right? We've seen it all this year. Will Levis, I don't see with him at
No,
all.
no, yeah, we're ignoring that.
Yeah. So with Trevor, I think I think Trevor. I don't know. It's kind of hard to really have a take on Trevor that can not be as biased because I see how this team is built around him,
Mhm.
and I feel like in year three they still don't have enough. And I don't know if until they change the general manager, you know what I'm saying, what can they bring around him? I would say bare minimum though, second. I think Stroud could be better than him in the next 4 to 5 years because I think Stroud doesn't necessarily need the help that I think Trevor does.
Mhm.
And that's crazy to think because Trevor was a generational prospect, right? You don't think a generational prospect needs help, but shit, you see with Patrick Mahomes, he's struggling this year. So I just feel like some quarterbacks in this league, like Lamar Jackson, uh, Josh Allen, those quarterbacks don't necessarily need the help. And I think it's going to be able to separate him from the rest. So I think Stroud, when it's all said and done, if anything changes, barring any injuries, I think Stroud would be better. So I would say Trevor to be the quarterback two in the AFC South. Let's talk about the Bears.
Let's do it.
The Bears are having a good end to the season. They're currently sitting at, I want to say they are 7-9 with a chance to
Mhm.
win their eighth game of the year. And there's a lot of conversations to be held about this team. Of course, they've been eliminated from playoff contention, but the biggest question is: do they keep Justin Fields and build around him with draft capital, or do they give up on him, draft Caleb Williams, and just trade Justin Fields to the Steelers, Falcons, or whoever, and they build through Caleb Williams instead? So, in your opinion, what should the Bears do this offseason?
Um, it's great because we just had this conversation yesterday, so the brain is still fresh with what I was saying.
Mhm.
I want to try to separate my fandom from what should happen because big Justin Fields fan, big DJ Moore fan, love what they've done, love the connections. That's what's gravitated me to Chicago. I just don't like Fields is my favorite guy. He's one of the few guys. I don't watch college football. He's one of the few guys I've ever watched in college football. Like I've watched a few, Deshaun Jackson, Justin Fields. Like who else did I watch? I watched what's his name again? Amir Abdullah.
Oh
Random
wow,
guy. Yeah, but I did watch him. Yeah, random as
Amir
shit.
Abdullah, yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely
but I
random.
did I did watch him in college. I watched Mike Williams too for some reason, but there was certain dudes that I did like, and Fields was one of them. I think inevitably it's funny because they have an opportunity to knock Green Bay out the playoffs.
Mhm.
And that's a big time moment, especially for Chicago. That rivalry runs back to the 50s, 60s, one of the most storied rivalries in the NFL. And with Jordan Love playing as great as he's been playing down the stretch, Fields has been playing pretty solid. You've seen improvement in his game. This is the game that could really tilt the scales. And I believe that. I firmly believe this is the game. If he goes out there, he outperforms Jordan Love, he knocks the Packers out the playoffs. That makes it a tougher decision for Poles. And I think respect the Poles because he had a great draft last year. Like it's coming in fruition. He had Stevenson, Dexter, Darnell Wright. They've all played at a high level. Like Brisker was the year before, I believe. Like
Mhm.
they've had some good draft pieces. Cole Kmet's been playing solid. They're just missing that next receiver. They're missing their linebackers have been solid, but they're missing some secondary. James Johnson's been amazing, but they're
Mhm.
still missing some keys on the defensive end, and they're missing that one receiver. I think inevitably they trade Justin Fields though. I
Mm.
think just to unfortunately, to start over on a rookie year deal is amazing in the NFL. And if he's generational, then it makes this much easier. I think bringing in Caleb to a situation that at Chicago, they have cap this year. They have a ton of draft capital. They'll probably get another second for Justin Fields. I do believe he'll go for a second. If a team like Atlanta offers them, I think they can get another second. So you bring that in. Now you have Caleb. You could probably try to get Marvin, but there's so many receivers that missing on Marvin isn't a terrible idea.
Mhm.
You keep building up this roster in the offseason. Caleb could be walking into something Bryce Young didn't walk into, CJ Stroud didn't walk into, AR didn't walk. Shit, Trevor Lawrence didn't walk into. I don't know many top picks that outside of Trey Lance, I guess, who didn't even get to play. But outside of him, I don't see many top picks that walked into a situation that could literally be great for him coming in. I think Caleb, I've heard great things about him. He does have the same issues as Fields, but his potential is so high. You get a fresh rookie on a new deal. That money you don't have to pay Justin Fields. I think it's just too good to not give up Justin Fields, and I do love Justin Fields. They end up, and I think if they end up keeping him, it's not going to be a bad decision because I
Mhm.
think the haul you can get for number one is nuts. You saw what you got
Exactly.
last year for
Yeah.
Bryce Young, essentially. So
Yeah.
I think the haul you can get for Caleb Williams is ridiculous. You could probably bring back another defensive star, more
Mhm.
picks. So I think either decision is good, but I think inevitably they will take Caleb.
No, I agree with you. I think either decision would be good as well. You hit on it with the contract situation though. Fields is going to be due for a contract next year, right? If they don't pick up his 5th year option this season, right? And what is his market? Because if he goes out there and has a Daniel Jones type year, he can ask for quite a bit of money given his athletic ability and stuff like that. What he can do
Mm-hmm.
in the running attack as well. And also, I mean, I think the best to look at it like, can we confidently say in year 1 of Caleb Williams and in year 4 of Justin Fields, will Justin Fields be significantly better than Caleb Williams? We don't know that. They might be the same quarterback, right? If Caleb Williams can come in, he can have a Stroud type year, or he can have a Mac Jones rookie year, right? Rookie season, right? Which is a top 15 quarterback, arguably. If he comes in and plays like that, I mean, the Bears are kind of in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I feel as if the Bears definitely have a tough decision to make. I would probably lean towards drafting Caleb Williams as well. I don't want to because I'm a big fan of Justin Fields, but like you said, on a rookie deal, he can come in and at least be a top 15 quarterback in year 1, and you can grow behind that. You can build behind that, and it's cheaper when it's all said and done because guys like Jalen Johnson wants to get paid, right? TJ Edwards might want a contract reconstruction. DJ Moore want more money as well on his end. So, they have guys to pay sooner or later. And Justin Fields, even what if Justin Fields blows up next year and has an MVP type of year? Then you got to pay more money to
Yep.
Fields and, might not be able to keep guys like Jalen Johnson and stuff like that and Jaquan Brisker. So it's definitely a tough decision to be made. But, I think it is a bit unfortunate for Fields' time will in Chicago come to an end.
Yeah, and I think you see how the city is just rallying behind Fields. And
Yeah,
I
they
think
are.
that's
Mhm.
really like that's been huge for him, and I'm glad it's happened for him because he's been getting a lot of criticism, and the coaching staff hasn't given him the best situation for 3 years. But also to himself, he hasn't improved like you wanted him to improve for sure. But I think the talent is still there.
Me too.
I think the potential is still there. I think he's starting to figure it out. The confidence, the swag is there. He's a great locker room leader. And I think if
Mhm.
he does go to Atlanta, I think he'll be great in Atlanta. I think B. John, him, Kyle Pitts, Drake London. I think that could be a scary young, offense. And I think if Arthur Smith knows what he has, he can make that shit good. But I think ultimately, like, and I've been seeing even Drake May to Chicago. I don't know much about him. I heard he's on sort of on par with Caleb,
Mhm.
but I think Caleb goes one, and I think Chicago ends up taking him. And there's teams like the Patriots that want to trade up. There's teams like the Commanders that are going to trade up. So there's going to be a lot of calling that Chicago is going to receive. So it's not like, it's going to be a terrible idea to trade one, but you do have to, if you trade one, you have to you have to really pray
Mhm.
that Fields becomes a star. Like,
Absolutely.
because if he doesn't,
You're screwed.
you won't get another chance like that again. Like, this is like Chicago's in a perfect position. You won't get a chance like that ever again.
Yeah, for sure. So, like, if you were Chicago and Ryan Poles, which team would you entertain trading up with or trading with to get the number
If
one
if
overall
I'm
pick?
keeping Fields,
Yeah, if you keep Fields, which team would you entertain in the trade? Of course, you
so
want to take the highest bid, but
yeah.
which team would you look at trading with?
So if I'm not mistaken, the Commanders are 2 right now.
Hmm.
The Patriots are 3.
Yes.
So those are the 2 teams I'm entertaining. Because if you go behind Arizona, they're taking Marvin Harrison.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
just they're taking Marvin Harrison. So I think I would probably look at Washington and be like, what can I get Jonathan Allen from you guys? Can
Hmm.
I get that second overall pick? But then people are gonna look at you like, well, take Drake. So it's like, but Marvin is so good, you can take him at 2 and nobody's
Hmm.
gonna bat an eye. Like, he's
Exactly.
that fucking good. But
Hmm.
then you look at New England. Well, what's Judon's worth? Do you want to keep Matthew Judon? He's elite.
Hmm.
Do you want to keep that young player? I don't know. So it's like those are the 2 teams I'm definitely looking at. If Arizona is 4, I don't think you should go past them because I think they will take Marvin Harrison Jr. in probably
Hmm.
like 5 seconds. Like, if they get on the clock, they'll probably send this ticket in already. Like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
what we want. So
Yeah.
Marvin Harrison Jr. is the first guy off the board if I'm keeping Fields. And then I'd probably for them go maybe one more offensive tackle,
Hmm.
and then maybe get another receiver late. I think a third won't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
a guy late in the second round. But once again, if you trade Fields, you get another second, you could build up that offense again. So I think Washington or New England are the two teams who are definitely quarterback needy because I don't think Mac Jones is going to be there next year, and I think Sam Howell was done in Washington. So those are the two quarterback needy teams that I'm looking for. I don't think the Titans have a good enough deal and they're too far.
Mm-hmm.
I think a team like Pittsburgh too far.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Off the top of my head, I think Tampa Bay. I think Baker's going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they'll probably go for a bridge. I think Seattle goes for a bridge or a young quarterback late. They could
Mm-hmm.
wait. So it's just come down to Washington and New England for me.
Yeah, I agree. I would take the Washington deal too. The Giants are very interesting as well, but they pick behind the Cardinals. So,
Yeah.
like you say, you don't unless you feel like Malik Neighbors can be just as good as Marvin Harrison Jr., which he
But if you got
probably
a chance at Marvin,
you
he's
take the
him
sure
and
thing.
DJ.
Yeah, yeah.
That's a
I
nasty duel.
I agree. I agree. All right, moving on to the Buffalo Bills, the AFC team that you love to talk about, as well as the Browns. But the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, they're playing for a lot this Sunday, right? They're realistically playing for the playoff lives and also the chance to win the AFC East. If they lose, there's a great chance they miss the playoffs this season. So, hypothetically speaking, I'm pretty sure you're confident they win this weekend, right?
100%. There's no
Okay.
doubt in my mind.
All right. So, are they a dark horse to make a deep AFC playoff run when they make it, in your opinion?
Yes, I think they are. But the thing is, I don't think they would be considered a dark horse because they'll be a number 2 seed if they win this game. If they win this game, they jump right up to number 2. And I think after everything they've been through in the middle of the season, still being able to get number 2 is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And I think dark horse, that's tough. I think you that's I think they're a contender. I
Mm-hmm.
think if they get the number 2, they're a contender. The thing with Buffalo is their offense, their passing offense has been the greatest over the last couple of weeks. Granted, New England's defense has been great, but the Chargers' defense is atrocious. And I think their offense, passing offense, has to pick it up. Josh is banged up right now. Diggs hasn't been good the last 8 weeks, I want to say. Their passing game, they've been dropping a lot of easy passes. So if they don't get that clicking, I think their defense is clicking at the right time. It's banged up. It's been
Mm-hmm.
making plays, creating turnovers, causing havoc, getting to the quarterback. So if they can't click at the same time, it's tough. And especially with the way Baltimore is looking, Baltimore is looking like the best team in the league.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at the AFC, I mean, the Chiefs offensively, can you consistently trust them to move up and down the field at an efficient rate?
Mm-hmm.
No. I know the numbers say they're a top 10 offense, but when you watch them, you
They're
can
hard to watch.
see, yeah, they're hard to watch. You could see a lot of it is internal. You don't trust those receivers. You respect Mahomes, but you don't trust what's going on. With the Miami Dolphins, they've never played a playoff game together. Defensively, they're shaky. They're banged up too. And offensively, do you trust Tua on the road in a playoff game? That's something you got to ask. The
Yeah.
Jaguars, on both ends, they're pretty banged up. And offensively, they haven't been consistent this year. Defensively, they get a lot of turnovers, but that offensive line is also terrible.
Yeah.
Cleveland, Joe Flacco. Do I need to,
Literally. That's it.
it's just Joe Flacco. Like that, I love Cleveland, but going in, Joe Flacco's your quarterback. It's tough. It's tough. And then like the Colts or Houston, too young. So there's a lot of teams that have a lot of question marks. So I guess picking Buffalo is taking the second best quarterback, or at worst, the third best quarterback in the league to me. And just hoping he can turn on his Superman ability, which he's shown to do that, and play superhero, play sound football, and that defense show up.
Yeah, man. I definitely believe the Buffalo Bills should be a threat, but I think Joel made a tweet about it today. Their offense, you just said it as well, especially in the passing attack, has not been,
Mm-mm.
the eye candy it once was under Ken
Joe
Dorsey.
Brady.
Well, the previous OC, Ken
Yes,
Dorsey.
yes.
Yeah. But now with Joe Brady, is definitely its running attack is there, but the passing concepts aren't ideal right now. So I want to ask you, do you think that has more to do with Sean McDermott being in the game plan, right? Not,
Mm.
being more on the run heavy side, because James Cook has leapfrogged a lot of people to become a top 3 rushing running back in the league. So you think that is more so on Sean McDermott being in the game plan, or does Joe Brady not really, being the ideal fit for this for the role for this play calling for the Josh Allen's Bills offense?
I've seen some hating and be like, "Yo, look, the Bills are taking Josh out, the ball out Josh hands, so they're winning." I've saw a lot of that funny shit going on.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, mostly from Miami fans, which is ironic. But the thing is, when they was under Dorsey, Cook was efficient with the ball. He just didn't get the ball enough.
Mhm.
Like Dorsey just didn't put the ball in Cook's hand a lot. And
Mhm.
now with Joe Brady, you see they're putting the ball in Cook's hand, but these passing schemes, like the passing game, has look a little bland. A lot of
Mhm.
vanilla to it. Nothing crazy. Kincaid though and Knox, they've been cool. You like what you see out of them. I
Mhm.
wish you can combine Brady and Dorsey. Like I
Yeah.
wish if you could combine both of them, I feel like that would be the perfect guy. But the main guy who continues to be at the top of the helm in this offense still be struggling is Sean McDermott. So it's like at some point, and I think Sean is also fighting for his job this year,
Mhm.
and I think that's huge. And I think this roster is getting up there in age,
Mhm.
but Joe Brady has done a good job. I'm not going to say he hasn't been bad. Everybody said Ken Dorsey got scapegoated. Yeah, that makes sense, but you needed a change. And
Yeah.
and whether you want to look at the numbers, look at the defense, excuse me, regardless of what happened, when they
Mhm.
made the change, the Bills went on a run.
Yeah.
And so like and you can't just say Joe Brady had nothing to do with that.
Mhm.
They beat the Dallas Cowboys by just running the ball. Like
Mhm.
I don't think Ken Dorsey was beating the Dallas Cowboys like that with his game plan. So I think you give Joe Brady credit for sure, but they've definitely had some duds against the Chargers and the Patriots.
Mhm.
Understandable. This is their test. Miami. This is going into Miami. You know, the biggest game of the year.
Mhm.
What, like you mentioned, they need a Steelers or a Jaguars loss when those I
Yeah.
think y'all are playing easy games and
Yeah.
y'all
Yeah.
both need to win anyway. So you're basically you don't want to put your fate into somebody else's hands. That's what Seattle did, unfortunately, and they might not
Mhm.
make the playoffs. But with the Bills, you control your destiny. You have
Mhm.
to go in there and you have to beat Miami. And
Mhm.
the last time y'all played, y'all beat the shit out of Miami. You did, but you were healthy. You were healthy as hell. Your offense was clicking on all cylinders.
Mhm.
But you got to show something different because, and I think Buffalo having a home game in the playoffs would help. So this is definitely important. But I think Joe Brady's been good. I don't know if he's the answer for next season. I still think you need a little bit more. But
Mhm.
Joe Brady has been solid for them this year. I think you give him credit for sure.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it's both sides of the coin, but I definitely do see this being a do or die for Sean McDermott, though, right? Because if he loses this game against the Miami Dolphins, he's more likely going to get fired.
Yeah.
He at least has to get to the second round of the playoffs, in my opinion. Even if he loses the first round, he gets fired because his team took another step back, right? So, definitely decisions to be made, but I think the biggest cause for concern for a lot of Bills fans out there is Stephon Diggs, right? Because he has gone absolutely absent and is very frustrating. I've dealt with the entire season watching the Jaguars team, but it's very frustrating when you can't get your best offensive playmaker involved. And I'm not sure it's because of Stephon Diggs having a hard time adjusting to what being called by Joe Brady, but he's been non-existent, like you said, for like the last month of football. So, and it's very strange to see.
Yeah, he's been dropping passes, just not in the like it's something and it's tough because Diggs is one of the 5, 6 best receivers in the world. So people are going to say, "Oh, he fell off." And it's really not that. The game plan is just not geared around Diggs. And Josh has tried to get the ball in his hands for sure, but it hasn't worked. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how they work this out in the playoffs because you don't want to go into a playoff game and Diggs is not cooking. You kind of want to get him going. You're going to need him for these games because if out there a second seed, they probably play. They don't play Cleveland. They play either Houston
Houston
or
or Indianapolis or
yeah,
Pittsburgh.
or
So,
Pittsburgh. So
yeah.
they'll play one of those games, and those aren't easy games.
Hmm.
Those aren't easy games. And then you go in, you play either the Chiefs, Brown, like however that goes. So you won't play
Yeah.
Baltimore yet, so that's good. But you'll
Hmm.
get on the road. So they have a if they win this game, they have a path to the AFC Championship game. And it's
Hmm.
not going to be it's not a hard path. It's
Hmm.
it's a challenging path, but it's nothing they can't overcome.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree. Moving back to the NFC, the Philadelphia
Jesus
Eagles.
Christ.
You're an Eagles fan. I think that's like your number one team, right? If you had to pick.
And no, in the NFL, that's my number one team.
Okay, all right, cool.
Unfortunately,
All right, cool. How long you been an Eagles fan?
because Deshaun Jackson got drafted.
Oh, okay, okay, okay.
That's that
Makes
was that was I didn't watch football. Like I used to pedestrian like casually watch football in like 08, 09. So I was like a Giants fan just cause like whatever, yeah. I
close to
lived
home.
in Jersey. Yeah, but
Yeah.
then Deshaun Jackson ended up on my like computer or something. I watched his college highlights at Cal. and I always get his college fucked up. I'd be like, "Hey, he went to Michigan,"
No,
but
he
it's
didn't.
really Cal. They just
Same colors.
yeah, it's Cal or yeah, it's Berkeley. It's whatever. I think that's the
Yeah.
same thing. I always
Yeah.
get it messed up because
Yeah.
the colors are the same scheme.
Hmm.
So he got drafted to the Eagles, and that made me just. I was like, I'm an Eagles fan. Like Deshaun's my guy.
Hmm.
Love how he just plays. He just 3 routes go, boom, boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. I love
Yeah.
it. So Deshaun Jackson got me to the Eagles, but talk about the Eagles, man. Huh,
Yeah.
man.
So what are your thoughts? Because last year we all know the success they had. It was beautiful to see. Even as a Jaguars fan, I just love seeing Jalen Hurts overcome the bad things were said about him. They had a very good team. They got to the championship game, and unfortunately they lost. And this is supposed to be the year to get back at least. And they started out very hot. But man, they have been fizzling week by week. And now with the season coming to an end, is looking very bad. So my question to you, do you think this team as a whole, how they're currently constructed, have they peaked?
I think I jinxed them. I definitely think the moment I started talking extreme shit
Uh-huh.
was the moment that they was like, yeah, we're fucking not that good. I think that's do I think we've peaked? That's a tough question because I think to say you've peaked is to say you've reached your best ability.
Mhm.
And I don't think we've played to that level. Over the last 3, 4 weeks, I thought losing to the Niners like that is one thing.
Mhm.
Losing to Dallas on the road, it's not terrible. You're going to split. They're one of the best home teams in the NFL. Losing to Drew Lock was crazy, and losing to Arizona was the icing on the cake. Like, what are we doing now? Now we're just acting insane. Like, I just don't understand what's going on. Defensively, we can't stop anybody. Like, the linebackers are so bad, and the front four can't get pressure. They've fallen off a cliff. They can't
Mhm.
stop the run. They can't get to the quarterback consistently enough. Offensively, the play calling has been very vanilla, very very terrible.
Mhm.
We calling the wrong plays at the wrong time. We're doing HB draws when we're in 3rd and 9. We're doing screen. We're not getting our best players like in the offense. I don't think Devonta Smith has had a game like where he's been a vocal point all year. I think he's just at one point it's just like he's open. I might as well just throw it to him. Like he's just that good. But I think
Yeah.
not getting Smitty involved, not getting AJ involved in the last couple weeks after he was on a historic run has
Mhm.
been crazy. Hurts just turnovers. It's just everything bad that could have happened is happening at the same exact time, and you see a free fall.
Mhm.
And I say all that to say I still am confident in this team. I am delusional as shit. I am still confident that this team can go out there on the road, beat Tampa Bay, beat Detroit, maybe not beat Dallas because they'll probably be home, but maybe not beat the Niners. No, we won't beat the Niners. But Detroit, Tampa Bay, all those other teams, Green Bay, I'm still confident we're the third best team in the NFC. I believe in this team nonetheless. If we can get that offense clicking, which we'll have some time to do, we got
Mhm.
the Giants coming up, and then we got 1 week to get ready for a Tampa Bay matchup, probably. So, or New Orleans, whichever one. But I
Mhm.
think this team still has one more gear that they can push. And you can call me delusional, call me crazy, or just call me a fan. But I still,
Mhm.
I still believe in this team.
Yeah, I mean, you're not lying. I mean, they still possibly could have one more gear, right? You have Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae, a very good offensive line. Maybe Brian Johnson just said, "Hey, let me just not make this too difficult. Let's just go out there and get the best players involved." Defensively is where you have the issues, though,
Yeah.
because if you get in a shootout, which you got in last week against the Cardinals, you might not win. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to Dallas, getting in the shootout, you're probably not going to win because Dallas' defense is going to stop your offense before you stop their offense
Mm-hmm.
defensively. So, you know, but the reason I asked why you peaked is what if you believe this team has peaked because I think at last year was the best we might have seen from this Eagles squad, right? So, if they fall short, do they move on from Nick Sirianni after the season? Do they move on from the older guys such as Darius Slay, James Bradbury? Like they have a lot of tough decisions to make after the season if they don't make a deep run. So, what would be the first thing would you do? Would you get rid of Nick Sirianni or would you let him choose different coordinators, patch his team back up with some younger veterans and move forward for 2024?
I think Sirianni stays. I think you definitely give him a new set of OCs, DCs, let him figure that part out. But I think Nick has earned another year. I think he definitely gets one more year. The thing is, you're right. This team is a little bit on the older side. We do have young talent. We have a mixture of young talent. We got young talent in Jalen Carter, Smitty. AJ Brown's still relatively young. Jalen Hurts is young. Even
Jacoby.
DeAndre Swift
Yeah.
is relatively young. Jalen Carter though, N'Kobe Dean, he hasn't played well, but he's young.
Mm,
Um, Jordan Davis. So we got some young talent. It's just like you mentioned, Darius Slay, Bradbury, Hassan Reddick,
mm.
Fletcher Cox, like
Kevin
Brandon
Byard.
Graham. Josh Sweat is a young guy. So
Yeah.
yeah, we got Lane Johnson's getting up there in age, Jason Kelsey, but we got
Yeah.
Jordan Malata. Like we got some guys. So it's like a mixture. I think Howie has to start looking into the linebacking department. He has to start getting some guys, because Joel mentioned this and it was a great point. You look at the top defenses, they're spearheaded by linebackers, Roquan Smith in Baltimore,
Mm,
Fred Warner in San Fran. The one few teams that don't, they're led by an elite pass rusher, Pittsburgh, TJ Watt,
mm,
Cleveland, Miles Garrett, Micah Parsons, Dallas. You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of those, and I don't think we have either one right now. We have a
mm,
bunch of good to great pass rushers, but we don't have a game changer. Like
mm,
even the Raiders have one, Max Crosby. So
mm,
I think we need to figure that part out. And I think Jalen Carter can become that. Give him
mm.
some time, a year or two, he can become that. But Howie's got some things to do. He got some work to cut out, and it really depends on how we lose. But I think Howie, I can trust him enough to know he can cook up something. Now he understands the problem, and I
Mm.
think we'll have a bounce back off season.
I agree. I agree. Now, you mentioned your Browns and stuff like that. We'll touch base on them. I didn't have it on here. I don't know why I didn't. I honestly forgot. But, your Browns, very, very red hot into the season. They're going to be the fifth seed, a dangerous wild card team. But will this Cinderella story stop in the playoffs at any moment? Could it stop in round one against the Jaguars because they have to go to Jacksonville? And we all know it is very tough to beat a team twice in 1 year if the Jaguars were to make it, right? Can they make it past the possible game against the Buffalo Bills? I think will be the next game. So, how do you feel about this this Browns team as we get closer to playoffs?
What's the crazy thing? They're the most volatile team in the playoffs because they can very much lose in the first round,
Mm-hmm.
but they can sneak to the AFC Championship game. Like this,
Mm-hmm.
this is legitimately a team that really is literally on the cusp of Cinderella's story
Mm-hmm.
or just first round bust. And I think, like you mentioned, it starts in Jacksonville, it starts in Jacksonville at home. You don't, like you said, it is extremely hard to beat a team twice in the same season, but Cleveland, man, Joe Flacco's been playing some cool football, man. He's slinging it. Him and Amari Cooper have a great connection. The thing is, the Cleveland doesn't have a consistent run game, something to rely on. So that might hurt them. And if they're banged up defensively, and and another team, like if you guys can get ETN going, which that's Cleveland's defense has struggled in the run game. If you get ETN going, that is a tough game for Cleveland. But it's tough because this team is so like this team this year, I think they have 6 to 7 big time wins against top teams.
Mm-hmm.
But this run, you've seen them against bad competition. They've had 4 to 5 different quarterbacks, so you've gotten 4 to 5 different versions of the Cleveland Browns. This
Mm-hmm.
defense has given up 30 plus points sometimes and got wins.
Mm-hmm.
They've also gotten losses. So it's so many versions of the Cleveland Browns that you saw in the 17 to 18 game sample size. You don't know which one you're going to get come playoff time. But I think Joe Flacco brings him a steady poise. He's a veteran. He's won a Super Bowl, so you can say all that. But he is pretty old. I do think this team can make it to the second round, though. I think that you said they play Baltimore. They would play the Bills
I think they'll play the Bills.
because they're a 5
No,
seed.
no, actually, my bad. They'll play the Baltimore Ravens. I think. Yeah, they'll
Right,
play the
right.
Baltimore Ravens the following week. So it'll be an AFC North, which is crazy in itself, right? Because that's different football to be played. Like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, that's division football, so that's a lot.
And that division, one thing about that division, Lamar doesn't get it easy in that division.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and they're 1-1 already. So
Mm-hmm.
that's in Baltimore in the playoffs. That game's going to be fire.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're a second round team though. Second round exit. I think this
Mm-hmm.
is second round ceiling. If they make it to the AFC Championship, I'm not going to say I told anybody so, but I'm going to say I'm be fucking excited for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But this is a team that's just one of the most boom or bust teams in the AFC in the league. I feel like.
Yeah, and I think we only have that opinion about this team because Joe Flacco is the spearhead of this offense. You know what I'm saying? If they had Deshaun Watson, we might be a little more comfortable. Maybe if they didn't have Nick Chubb healthy with Joe Flacco, you'll be
They
more.
had Nick Chubb healthy, man.
They might be a championship team.
Bro.
To be honest, That's all you need is a run game, and
Mhm.
Nick Chubb is arguably the best running back in football, or running back too. So yeah, man.
No, if they
Uh,
had Nick Chubb and you just had Joe Flacco, I'd be like, yeah, this team is going to the AFC Championship game. Like Nick Chubb is really like that. Like
absolutely.
he going to turn -5 into 7 real fast.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. So you talked about it on the podcast on the last episode. I don't know if you gave your. I think I didn't get to this point yet in the show, but the Pro Bowl voting. What's your overall thoughts on it? Because we don't got to go deep into it, but I gave my opinion on it on my platform. I said that I think the fan voting needs to be nuked to a certain degree because there's a lot of people that made the Pro Bowl that don't deserve to be there, in my opinion, like Jalen Ramsey, your Teron Armsteads, and stuff like that. But what's your overall thoughts on the Pro Bowl as the selecting how it was this year?
I think it's weird that NFL has it at the end of the season
Mm-hmm.
after like the Super Bowl or whatever, like just late. I think it's extremely weird. I also think sort of like the NBA, fans don't know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And because fans don't know what they're doing, or fans don't pay attention to over 1,000 games being played in a year, that's probably for the NBA, they are going to just pick who they like to watch,
Mm-hmm.
which is fine. It's an all-star game. It's a Pro Bowl. You're not here you just want to see some fun. But at the same time, some of these guys, this is on their contract. You know what I'm saying? Some of these guys want to be there because they deserve it. Jalen Ramsey made the team.
Yeah, that's
He
crazy.
didn't play 10 games. I'm so confused. He did.
Yeah.
I saw like who it was a wild name up there that Bobby Wagner made the shit. I
Yeah,
was like,
Julian Love made it.
yeah. I was like, okay, all right, okay. I mean, like we're just cool. Like I'm not Tua made it.
I
Josh
think Tua
ain't made
deserved
it.
Tua deserved to make it.
Where's Josh Allen? I'm curious.
Well, that comes down to Patrick Mahomes making it, right? Because
Why?
you can't. Well, you know how they feel about it. You can't keep the best quarterback in the league. Arguably.
So yeah, so it's like
So
I
yeah,
mean, I get keeping Lamar in there. He's about to win MVP. That's fine with me.
yeah,
One of those two dudes got to go for Josh. So I don't understand. He has the most touchdowns in the league. What are we doing here? Like,
yeah.
but the Pro Bowl is just for it to matter and be meaningful. Unfortunately, same thing with the All-Star game. You got to take the fans out of it or make it like the lowest percentage. We don't know what we're doing. In the NBA, I voted for Derrick Rose to make the All-Star game. He didn't make the playoff. He didn't play. Like I don't care either. I'm one of the people that's gonna vote for my favorite players. It's like this shit isn't serious.
Yeah.
So I remember one year the NBA All-Star game. I voted for Derrick Rose and Cam Reddish. Like I did not care. I was just like, I'm gonna be one of the few people to vote for my favorite players because this shit don't mean nothing. I mean, they don't even take it serious. So why should we?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I remember the year when Taco Fall first got to the NBA. He was getting all-star votes.
Crazy.
I love Klay Thompson to death, but he's like, top 10 in, the Western all-star votes right now. He's been asked this year. So, yeah. But anyways, transitioning to basketball, man, because you're a basketball guy. And I have not actually had a basketball well, actually, I had one. It was briefly with Joel, but let's talk about the NBA. I have been watching it this year. I'm a huge, huge basketball fan, and it's a lot of new things going on in this league, right? I just watched Victor and Giannis go toe to toe. My goodness, it was a crazy game, man. Victor is definitely one of them ones.
Who won?
The Bucks won by 3 or 4. Yeah,
suck.
very, very close game. Yeah, man. Devin Vassell was going crazy. Victor had his way, but Giannis just went dumb. And I think he
and
had
then we play at 10:30. Yeah, we about to play. So
yeah. At actual right now, the Nuggets, Warriors are up by 3 currently right now. So
we're playing. We started at 10.
yeah, 10. Yeah.
Okay, you watching it right now? You got it on TV.
Yeah. I'm watching right now.
Good man. Good man.
But yeah. So like, let's talk about the teams, right? In your perspective, right? Who has exceeded your expectations? Who has fallen short of your expectations so far? We're getting at the halfway point. So who's exceeded your expectations team wise, and who's fallen short?
So I'll give you 2 of each. I think exceeded is for sure Oklahoma City. I thought they'd be a playing team. I thought they'd maybe sneak in as like a 6-7 seed. I didn't have them being top 3 in the West. And I love SGA. I love what he's doing. I thought he'd continue this pace, but I didn't think this team would just be out running like this. Like defensively, they're amazing. They're a top 6 offense in the league. There's so much continuity on the roster, and their coach Mark, is doing an incredible job of just keeping them together, keep them putting that effort on the defensive end. J Dub seems like in the fourth quarter, he just has like it seems like in a game, he just has 2 3 minute spurts of just taking over the game. It's like on the defensive end, on the offensive end, and I do think OKC is one of those teams that definitely shocked me, and I think they're a team that's so young and fascinating in the sense of they all play together and they all play kind of the same way. Like J Dub, SGA, they play the same way. I do think Giddy will become expendable down the road. I think eventually they'll move off of him. But another team that's definitely piqued my interest, and I like this team because I think this team gives you that vibe from last year's the Miami Heat. I think their team is better than they were last year, and they didn't add too much. I just think with the additions of the rookies, they picked up a nice piece in Thomas Bryant, Josh Richardson, who gives you a good amount on the defensive end. But Duncan Robinson being able to handle the ball this year, being a much better shooter than Max Strus, I think that's been huge. Jaime Jaquez being an instant impact rookie has been huge. And then Jimmy being Jimmy and Bam and improving his game every year. Tyler Harrell being healthy, him being a good player. This Miami Heat team to me is better than last year. And I know people write them off because Milwaukee got Dame and because Boston's a super team, basically. And I think Boston's the best team in the East. But I don't think anybody's going to wash Miami. Like, I think it will still be 6 or 7 no matter who plays them. And then the two teams that disappoint me easily, the Golden State Warriors. I'm fucking sick of them. Like they make me sick to my stomach. Just the shit that's going on over there. Like the shit Steve Kerr is doing is just ridiculous. The lineups, Steph trolling all of December. Like it's just like, what are we doing? Like Draymond Green choking people out, keep not playing. Like I expected to have a good year, at least be a playoff team, And I think with Steph, he's turning 36 in March.
Mm-hmm.
So we're reaching the end of an era. Like we got to maximize what we can from this guy, and this is not doing it. They need to make a trade fast. Bob Myers isn't there. Golden State hasn't been known to make any trades in the middle of the season. Mike Dunleavy's a new guy, so I'll give him the pass. And then another team is the Atlanta Hawks. Man, they're just how are you a top 5 offense in the league, top 2 against elite defenses, and you're literally not a good team. Like defensively, they're horrible. DeJounte Murray tricked them. They just don't have enough good players. And I think the retooling. I said this on my podcast. I was like, I think they need to rebuild. Maybe that was a little too strong. I guess you can retool around Trae Young, but how long does he want to wait for that? How long does he want to sit there and be a part of that? Does he like maybe it is time to just start it over? And I saw a trade. Brett, shout out to Brett. He dropped a trade for Orlando and Atlanta, and I liked it. You bring in Anthony Black, you bring in Jed Howard, you bring in some salary cap, and you bring in 3 first-round picks. Why not? I mean, that looks cool to me. I think that's a deal that Orlando can now. You have Trey, you have Boncaro, you have Wagner, you have guys that literally fit next to Trae Young. But those would be my teams. So the teams that exceeded expectations for me. Miami, because of an eye test thing, I just looking at them the way they play, they look better than me. And then, of course, Oklahoma City Thunder. And then teams that have kind of disappointed me is Golden State and the Atlanta Hawks.
Yeah, I like those. For me, I think the teams that have, I'll start with the exceeded teams. Definitely be the Timberwolves, man. I had them being a playing team. They have been sensational this year, right? Anthony Edwards might be an all NBA first teamer, possibly second team at least, right? He's been magnificent.
Oh, brother, that's SGA and Luka, bro. You're cooked.
I'm not giving up. I had a take before the season. And
what'd you take?
I said Anthony Edwards could possibly be an MVP, but I said he can definitely be an all NBA first teamer, right?
If he stays 1 seed, maybe.
It's possible. He has to go on an amazing run starting now. Like he's been cooking too. I think he dropped like 35 last night against the Pelicans. They lost. But I think he had like 41 against the Heat or something like that a few nights ago. But he's been cooking. But it's just the consistency for him. But the Timberwolves have definitely been surprised in my opinion, man. I had them being a 1 seed, a playing team, but they've been a 1 seed. They've been magnificent. Anthony Edwards is playing good. Cat has found his groove. Rudy Gobert might be winning his 4th defensive player of the year. Or man, he's been magnificent, right? The trade we all thought was dumb is looking to be very good. Jaden McDaniels, I still would like to see more from him, right? As more on the scoring end, but defensively, you know what you get out of him. Mike Conley still being serviceable as the league or the lead point guard for this team. I like Nas Reed, of course. Their bench is nice. Kyle Anderson. They've been exciting, right? But can what's their coach's name? Mark Finch,
Chris Finch.
Chris Finch. I just want to see how he operates in the playoffs when the time comes,
Yep.
because in years past, definitely been a shell of himself, right? I mean, against Memphis, he blew multiple leads, right? Last year against the Nuggets were a championship team, of course, but they had chances to win at least one or two games, and they fell short of that as well. So I'm ready to see how Chris Finch operates in the playoffs, but this team has definitely been fun to watch in the regular season. The second team that's definitely exceeded my expectations, and they're not really out of the play-in picture, but it would
Mm-hmm.
have to beat Orlando Magic.
Mm.
They had a lot of hype coming in, of course. Everybody thought this could be the year for them. And, I think they can be a locked in playoff team, right? I think they can, exceed past the play-in as of right now. Paulo has been amazing in year two, right? He's been going on his potential all-star run right now. Franz Wagner has been magnificent, of course. The guys at Wendell Carter, Jalen Suggs, he's healthy this year. He's playing good basketball. Cole Anthony, he's playing good basketball as well, right? So, they're still missing some key pieces like Jonathan Isaac. He is, in and out of the ice tub, but overall, overall,
I feel
overall,
bad for
though,
him, man.
I do too, man. Because when he's on the court,
He's good.
he's good. He's their best defender by far, right? He can do a
Mhm.
lot of great
He can
things.
make a lot of All NBA defensive teams, man.
Yes, man, he is really damn talented, man, but he just can't stay healthy. But overall, the Magic of definitely they had a hot start. They kind of cooled off, but if they can find their groove again, man, I think they can be locked in for the playoffs. Disappointing team. You're probably gonna laugh at this. I don't know why I had high expectations for the team. I think you did a bit too. The Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah.
They're terrible. They're terrible. Like, what's they're terrible. Like the play-in. I'm not playing, but the in-season tournament. Great basketball. Literally saved their season, damn near, right? And then after the in-season tournament, they just fell right back off, right? Darvin
Yeah.
Ham. The conversations being held about him. He might be fired after this year, right?
It's about time. LeBron's coaches don't really last that long,
They
so
don't last long,
it's hitting
bro.
that mark.
This is why we respect Eric Spoelstra so much, because he survived LeBron.
Yeah, it's hitting that mark where it's time to go, Darvin. You had your run.
Yeah, man. Like AD has been, healthy and consistent this year. You would think he would be in the defensive player of the year conversations as well if they had a better record. But Austin Reeves, I mean, he's taking a step back this year. It looks like, Cam Reddish had a moment. He's gone. Rui Hachimura, he's gone. Right. I mean, Jared Vanderbilt is unplayable. So like, I had this team being so damn good, given the fact that they had a strong end to the season and they added some quality pieces. Gabe Vincent doesn't even see the court. I know he's hurt, but still, he was having a very rough start to this year. The Lakers, definitely, not a good team right now. And they might be making some big time trades before the trade deadline kicks in. They might go on another run, but as of right now, man, definitely falling short of expectations. And then the second team, I don't they're still very good, right? They're top 2 seed in the East, the Milwaukee Bucks, right?
I get why you say it.
Yes, because I know it's very hard for a player of a Damian Lillard value to come in and just, pick things up and keep going, right? The offense has been fun, right? They're one of the highest 3-point shooters in the team, a highest scoring team in the NBA as well. But defensively, they are bad. Like they're getting in a shootout with the San Antonio Spurs, and they only won by 4 points, right? The Pacers they're a mismatch. The Pacers can really beat them in a series if they go in a 7-game playoff series. So, very worried about Milwaukee right now. Dame has shooting slump out of this world right now. At one point during the game, he was like 0 for 6 from 3. He just can't get it going because the ball's not in his hand. He has to play more off ball this year, and it's definitely hurting his game, it seems. Giannis is still doing his thing, and everything else around the Bucks is still going well. But I think that Dame piece is not going as easy as we thought it could be. And they might fall short of championship expectations this year once again. So, those are my 4 teams, right? I would say the Warriors, but it's writing on the wall, man. This dynasty has to come to an end.
Yeah.
I would say, though, before we continue with the rest of the NBA slate, I just wish Steph Curry would have more of a say-so on what goes on with a firm authority, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if you actually were to be like a LeBron James, this team wouldn't be constructed the way they currently are. He just loves his guys. He loves Draymond. He loves Clay. He came in with those guys. He's going to leave with those guys damn near if he has to, right? I just think that, they need to bring in a Lauri Markkanen or a Pascal Siakam, something like that. And they probably won't because they have championship pedigree. And, I know they think they're going to figure it out, but they're not, right? Klay Thompson, very oddly enough, has taken a step back after 2 years off injuries when he came back playing good basketball. Draymond Green, don't know what's going on with him, praying for the guy, man, but he's a lost cause right now, right? The small three guard lineup is terrible to watch. Steve Kerr is completely washed, right? He is, I know, three
Yo,
guards.
the three guards be killing me, man. It'd be like,
And he plays it religiously like it's going to be
yo,
effective, dog. It is
he
so easy to
he
defend.
be killing. I'll be like, yo, bro, what do we? Come on, it don't work. It don't. It really don't. Like, but
It
you just
don't work.
like it don't work. Like, but he keeps doing it, and it's like, yo, bro, you giving these headaches. We always have
Wiggins,
headaches.
Wiggins has lost the game of basketball.
Yeah, he's
Last
yeah.
year spooked him. Not sure
He,
what happened.
he gave us a year, man. We greatest year ever.
Definitely greatest year. He was damn near top 8, a small 4 in the league. But it's just very unfortunate. But yeah, those is my falling short. Lakers, Bucks, and then my expectations that exceeded would be the Magic and of course the Timberwolves. So
I do want to see Phoenix eventually figure it out.
oh
Also,
yeah, yeah,
that's another
yeah,
team, and
yeah.
the fact that they can't stay healthy is a problem. But the guys outside of their big three are just not good basketball players.
I
Like they
thought they
can't.
were going to be, man. I ain't gonna lie. They looked good in the
Nah,
off season.
I always thought those three were gonna have to backpack for sure, but
Mm-hmm.
they're not even healthy enough to do it. Unfortunately, I mean, Beal is back. Shout out to him, but now Kevin Durant's out.
Mm-hmm.
So eventually, hopefully, they can play together so we could just see what the potential is with this team.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about opposing threats to the defending champions, the Denver Nuggets. Right, they're currently still a top 3 seed in the NBA Western Conference, I think. You got OKC, young hungry team, the T Wolves, young hungry team, the Clippers,
Mm.
coming out of nowhere, right? Um, who opposed the biggest threat? Is it those 3 teams, or is it a fourth team I didn't name?
I think for me, it's the Clippers in Minnesota for Denver. I think the Minnesota provides, from a size perspective, the toughest matchup for them. You got Conley, who's short, but Ant, physical, strong, 6'4". Jay McDaniel, 6'10", long, athletic, defensively, he's great. Cat's been a good defender this year, 6'11". Rudy Gobert, like you mentioned, defensive player of the year, 7 feet. So they have a core group of guys that are just big, strong, and they're connected. You could bring in Nas Reed, who can play that stretch five. Then you have damn near 3 to 4 shooters on the court. Kyle Anderson's a good defender. So I would like them to get one more bench piece that's a good defender and a good rebounder. Doesn't necessarily need to be a scorer. But I do think Minnesota provides a chance. And then Clippers, the Joker's had 2 of his worst games against the Clippers this year. Like, surprisingly, Zubac has done a good job. Ty Lue has done a good job of just game planning and schematically putting up a good defense against the Joker. They just in the clutch haven't figured out a way to beat Denver. And one time they did get smoked out by Denver's role players. That was when James Harden and he just got there. But
Yeah.
they've been cooking ever since. And now Harden and Kawhi and PG have seamlessly got it figured out, and they be on go at the same time. And I think the Clippers are probably the most dangerous team in the West right now. Like they're clicking, they have figured it out, and that's a team that can cause serious trouble for Denver because you got 3 guys that can essentially ISO you to death in a playoff series. And now you've kind of, I don't want to say figured them out, but you've guarded Joker well this year. That's a tough matchup. Those are the 2 toughest matchups for Denver in the West for me.
Yeah, for sure. I would definitely say the toughest one is the Clippers. I gotta trust Chris Finch in a 7-game series, full on before I say they can be a big threat to the Nuggets. But the Clippers definitely. I mean, James Harden, right? I mean, it looked as if he was cooked goods, but now he has found his way, right? This Clippers team is definitely a lot better with him on the court. Paul George, Kawhi, Zubac has been amazing this year, like you already mentioned. I mean, definitely the Clippers, and they're just a deep team. I mean, you still got Norman Powell off the bench. I'm not sure the health of Mason Plumlee right now.
He just got back. He on minutes restriction.
Okay, but that's still a very quality
Yes, great.
big off the bench. You know what I'm saying? Can't forget about Russ, right? He's going to go out there because we all know what happened last year in the playoffs. He was magnificent. Don't know if he gives you the same impact, but still, he is a performer, right? So, I definitely believe the Clippers can give this Nuggets team some trouble, and it should, right? Because at some point, it's either do or die for the Clippers, right? If they don't figure it out this year, it might be the end of the PG and Kawhi era. So,
This is probably like their last hurrah. All those guys are free agents after
mhm,
this year. All
mhm.
those guys are on expiring deals. So you need to maximize, a championship window that's very small, and
Mhm.
they just building a new arena. So
Yep.
you want to bring a championship into that arena. You want to
Mhm.
bring the fact that you've got this ring. You can now bring these old guys in and have no issues because you got your championship ring.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, for sure. Moving out to the East, who is the biggest wild card in the East? Let's talk about teams 4 through 8 because I think all those teams are quality teams, right? You have the Miami Heat, the 4th seed, the Indiana Pacers, the 5th seed, the Orlando Magic, the 6th seed, the Cleveland Cavaliers, the 7th seed, and the New York Knicks being the 8th seed. So out of those 4 teams I named, or 5 teams I named, who is the biggest wild card to pose a threat to the top 3 heavy teams, the Boston Celtics, Bucks, and 76ers?
it's easily the Heat.
Mm-hmm.
The Heat provide the most experienced team out of all those teams. They have the best coach by far. They have the best defense, a playoff defense, and they schematically scheme up the best game plans against opposing team. They guard Giannis the best. They guard the Jays the best. They guard Philly the best. So I think Miami easily you would put them number one. I think Cleveland would be number two because the star power of that backcourt. Donovan Mitchell. I think he still is a great playoff performer, even though he hasn't shown it his last 2 runs. I think defensively they can cause some trouble for a team like Philly. A team like Milwaukee. They play Boston well. I would say Orlando, but their offense down the stretch, their offense in general is not good, or
Mm-hmm.
it's not what I want it to be for a playoff setting. But defensively, they're an elite group. I think so. I would probably go Heat 1,
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland 2, Knicks 3.
Okay.
No. Heat 1, Knicks 2, Cleveland 3, Orlando 4, Indiana 5. I think because they cannot defend a fly or
Mm-hmm.
me, they they have no shot in the playoff series. They really can't guard. It's really actually funny.
Yeah, their defense is terrible, man. I'm not sure what Rick Carlisle has told them boys. They've damn near become the new era of what the Phoenix Suns team with
Oh yeah.
Steve Nash, Stoudemire, and Q Rich and
Yeah.
those guys, man, because they don't play defense. Tyrese is just out there. We're just gonna run. We're gonna just outrun everybody.
Yeah.
They're young, and it could work because it's giving the Bucks some trouble. But can they give Miami trouble that when Eric Spoelstra gets in that half court offense? You know what I'm saying? And he locks it down with Bam and Jimmy on the wings and stuff like that. So, definitely not a firm believer in the Pacers, but I like the Knicks though, man. The Knicks, they can do something. I know Joel is happy about that. I know y'all clown about the Knicks sometimes, but I like the OG trade.
I do too.
Jalen Brunson's an all-star. Julius Randle has come back alive, right? Isaiah Hartenstein's playing inspiring basketball. The biggest question is, what can you get the bitch continuously, right? Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Quentin Grimes, but they need somebody to step up with a bigger role to replace Quickly, who was very effective at times last year in the regular season. So, I definitely believe in the Knicks for sure as being a wild
I
card.
like the Knicks. I do. I like the OG edition. I love the OG edition. I think
Mm-hmm.
with now you have an elite defender on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully Mitch comes back. I think he's out for the season, but maybe he could come back for the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been an insane defensive tandem. And I think RJ just didn't fit with Randall and Jalen Brunson's game.
Yeah.
And now you get him out of there. Randall's been playing good basketball. I think the Knicks are a sneaky team in the East.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, let's talk about the NBA MVP. Who would you have your MVP as we're getting close to the halfway point of the NBA season?
I think it's Embiid. I think Embiid is the MVP. I think he's been playing arguably one of the best offensive center years since like Shaq. Like he's put on he's been putting on a clean. I think he's at 33 points a game and 11
Mm-hmm.
rebounds. He's
Mm-hmm.
been as efficient as ever. His playmaking has definitely improved. I think Embiid should be one. I think SGA and Luka are like 2 and 3. I think Luka's also been on a shit like a tear backpacking, especially when Kyrie was out. He's putting on performance after performance after performance. 40 points. Excuse me. 40 points, 50 points. He's triple double, triple. Like he's been tweaking. I think it'd be those three guys comfortably right now. The way SGA's hooping, number 2 seed in the West,
Mm-hmm.
33 points a game. Defensively, he's giving you the stocks, the blocks and the steals. I think he just broke a record that hasn't been broken since MJ did. Oh no, D Wade. No, it might have been MJ. So he just broke a stocks record. I think it was 30 points, 2 steals, and 2 blocks or something like that. Or 1
Best
steal,
two-way
1 block.
guard in the league.
Oh, easily. Yeah, he's the best two-way guard in the league, and defensively, he gives you that. So
Mhm.
those would be my three guys: Embiid, SGA, Luca. Those would be my three guys.
All right, okay, I got you. All right, man. Well, you have anything else to add on? I know you added on a little bit here and there with some NFL stuff. But any more? You got any basketball to add on?
Nah. My question to you is,
Hmm.
what's the Jaguars' ceiling, man?
What is it, Jack? Currently, or just
Right now, this year, let's say playoffs, you make the playoffs. If you guys come to play, what's your ceiling?
first round exit?
Even if you guys come to play,
Yeah, man. Well, history says though the Jaguars, whenever they get to the playoffs, they find success. Don't know how, but we don't lose in the first round. I don't think we've lost in the first round ever
mm,
in our years of being a franchise, which isn't saying much because we barely get to the playoffs. But we are a very tough, gritty team when it comes to playoffs. But maybe divisional round if we come to play, maybe. I just think when I look at contending teams in the NFL, especially in the AFC, they just have that it factor at the quarterback level or in the receiving department,
mhm.
or they have a top five, top 10 defense. The Jaguars are missing something, right? They might have the it factor at the quarterback, but they don't have that guy at the receiving level, right? They don't have a defense either. You know what I'm saying? So they're missing a lot to contend. I think even if they play their best football, I think the Chiefs will give them problems, right? Because Andy Reid can coach circles around Doug Peterson. Um, I'm scared of Miami. I won't lie to you. I know they don't really fare off well against serious competition, and the Jaguars might not be serious competition in their eyes. But Tyreek Hill is ridiculous, right? Jalen Waddle's out there, of course, as well. Tua, he gets the ball out very quick. We can't really get to the quarterback if the quarterback can get the ball out, at an efficient rate. Um, Defensively, they lost Bradley Chubb for the remainder of the year. It's definitely a hit, but they still got Ramsey, Holland. The Baltimore Ravens are arguably the best team in football. I'm not worried about the Buffalo Bills, honestly. I think we fare off well against them. That's just
Oh,
my
because of
matchups.
because of because
Matchups.
of London, because
Not even. I think we fare off well against the Ravens too. They play our brand of football. It's smash mouth football. It's bully to bully. We love bully football. We just can't play finesse football. We go against those
okay.
Chiefs, we're done. We go against the Dolphins because of schematically things like we're cooked. So if we're playing bully football, that's why I don't mind facing the Browns. In the first round because they play our brand of football as well. But if we're going against a team that has, just the finesse of an offense, we're damaged goods. And the Chiefs defense is really good this year. So overall, if we come to play our best ball, our ceiling is second round. But I wouldn't be surprised if we get torched in the first round, honestly.
Okay, I like that. Honest answer. I like that.
Yeah. I try to keep it as objective as possible with my team. Well, really all my sports takes, man. I have no bias. Try to not be biased at least. So but yeah, man. Before we go though, I want to talk to you about what your plans for this year. You don't have to go into depth. You don't have I don't want you to ruin your outlook for the year, of course. But what's a message you would like to give for the listeners out there that are aspiring to get to a level as you are as a content creator? That's my first question. Then I'll carry on my second.
Um, the message. I would just say stay consistent, man. I
Hmm.
think consistency is key. I think consistency is the most important skill or most important lesson you can get from this. I know it gets tough. I know it gets hard pushing out content. I know sometimes you don't want to do it. Trust me, I know. I know sometimes it might be only 30 people watching your shit. It might be only 5 people watching your shit, but there's gonna be a point where there's 5,000. There's gonna be a point where there's 30,000. There's gonna be a point where there's 50,000. And when that point comes, you're gonna be glad that you stayed consistent. So my only thing, only gift I can give y'all is just to be consistent. Because if you're not consistent in this, if you not keep going,
Hmm.
you ain't gonna never get to where you want to be.
Hmm. No, I agree. You definitely hit the nail on that. My next question: what can we expect from Riv in 2024? You have Riv Academy, of course. You spoke about that on the podcast, but
Uh,
what can we expect from Riv in 2024?
damn. You know, I think honest to God, which I can expect is definitely more Riv Academy videos, but definitely I wanna start Riv Academy videos, but I want to do more like vloggy type stuff, like
Hmm.
stuff that inherits my life in basketball as opposed to just breaking down. Like that's boring. I'll be
Yeah.
honest. That's boring sometimes. It's
Yeah.
boring as shit. I want to like, I want to go to a Rutgers game and be like, yo, like vlog what I did at the Rutgers game, who I talked to and stuff like that. So I definitely, you guys can expect upgrading equipment, upgrading like just what's going on, and definitely more videos. I'm gonna legitimately try to put out more content, and then just me being as objective as possible. Me not being too much of a fan this year, me
Mhm.
trying to be less biased, and me cutting some teams. Man, it's time to be a man. Man, it's time to get these teams out of here. So that's what y'all can expect from me in 2024.
Yeah, bro, you got a lot of teams, dog. I
Yeah,
see your pinned tweet
that
when I
shit
go on
that
your
shit
profile. I'm like,
that shit
God
give
damn,
me a
bro.
headache. It's too much to keep up, man. I
Yeah,
get hella
bro.
notifications at night and in the morning throughout the day just because it's 13 teams. So it's like boom, 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 boom,
Yeah,
boom, nonstop, nonstop. I'm like, all right, man, I gotta stop this.
yeah, yeah. You gotta find you at least good four at
It's
least.
hard. I got so many favorite players, man. It's tough.
I feel you. Oh yeah, one last question though. You guys on the picker side have
Mm,
definitely interviewed a lot of good people, a
yeah.
lot of famous people, athletes, and musicians. Who has been your favorite interviewer
Ooh.
or interviewee, or whoever you interviewed? Your guest, your favorite guest. My bad. Who is
Favorite
your
guest.
favorite guest? Your favorite guest?
My favorite guest is Pee Wee. He
Shout out to Pee
because
Wee.
he's so much like us.
Mm-hmm.
So it's such like a regular episode, and it's so viral in the sense of like we could joke the same, we could act the same, we could be the same, fully clownish ways, and like he's the same way. So I think he's definitely him and OG would be my top two. Like I'm more of the consistent guys that like kind of let us be us.
Mm-hmm.
I think those would be my favorite, and then Ice Cube would be my third. Like I think that was like because it was just like my dad. He used to always talk about Ice Cube. He used to love Ice Cube. That was his favorite rapper growing up, and
Mm-hmm.
I loved all the movies from Ice Cube. So that's definitely one I could say like. And he was real proud of that one. Like, he was excited. Like
Mm-hmm.
that was the one that really got him out of the seat. Like, Ice Cube, you do Ice Cube? I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. I got Ice Cube, man. I don't sleep. So
Yeah.
definitely Pee Wee, OG, and then Ice Cube would be my top three.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Shout out to Pee Wee, man. They got some new things going over there, man.
Shout out to
What they
Pee Wee,
numbers
man.
on the board, right? That's what it's called now.
I think so.
Oh my
I'm gonna ask him. I don't know what that shit called. Yeah, it's numbers on the board. Yeah, I guess so. That's fire though. I like it.
Yeah, it is. That is. All right, my man. I definitely appreciate you for getting on the show, dog. This is definitely was fun. You asked me some good questions as well, dog. So I really
Of
appreciate that,
course.
bro. But like I always say, man, for the pick a side guys, I respect y'all a lot, man. I always give y'all flowers whenever I can. And I really appreciate y'all for, motivating myself, inspiring us all, man. And, you guys are the same age as people like me and other people out there, man. You're definitely putting in some great work, bro.
We appreciate that. You should be blessed. You one of the few that got all three of us, and then
Yeah.
because there ain't many that get
Yes.
all three of us. Yeah, so
I
we
appreciate that.
fuck with you for sure if that happens.
Yeah. I got to get Dell's
Yeah,
and I
once
got to get
if you
John.
get Downs, you're the go. I promise you're the go. Because to
I'm
get Downs, good luck.
I'm slow playing Dell's. I'm just
Yeah,
slow
you
playing.
gotta casually walk your
Yeah,
way
yeah,
because
yeah,
again, him is he's the Hollywood one now. I don't know if you're gonna be able to get him. But if you get him, you got it. You the man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you, real bro. But until next time, man, that is a wrap.